It feels like you just fly into random colonized systems when you try to go exploring. The bubble just keeps growing. It's completely lore breaking. Daisy chaining to high value systems results in throwaway colonized systems everywhere. Colonisation kills exploration. It's no longer a bubble, it's a freaking sea urchin. I've seen many worried comments about colonization getting out of hand, and previously uninhabited sectors now seem to have inhabited systems all over. And I get it. With colonization, the bubble is expanding, and trails of daisy chaining systems can be found several places. But how bad is it really? Looking at the galaxy map, it's hard to see exactly what's going on. But there is another place where we can look. Elite Dangerous Astrometrics, or edastro.com, is a third-party website, one of many websites keeping track of things and giving a better overview than we get in Elite itself. One tool that they have is the interactive galaxy map, and here we can see what is actually happening with colonization in Elite. This is a view of all the inhabited systems in and around the bubble. A sea urchin is actually an apt description of the current map. Whether or not that is pretty is down to personal preference, I guess. At first glance, it looks like a lot of systems. The old bubble is about the dense area before the branches begin. I personally have a couple of colonized systems about 230 light years from Sol. One of them I colonized as late as August, about a month ago from now. So it will be quite a while before we run out of uninhabited systems within, say, 500 light years from Sol. It's still a bit difficult to grasp the scale of colonization. I mean, in this view, it looks like we are well on the way to fill out the blank spots on the map. But we are zoomed in as much as we can on this map. Let's zoom out a bit. Now the bubble of inhabited systems, the sea urchin, doesn't look quite as imposing, but there are a few very long tentacles. Now let's zoom out a bit further. From this view, it's clear that we have a lot of uninhabited systems. The furthest tentacle is about 3,600 light years from Sol. That's a long way, but actually not that much compared to the scale of the galaxy. Let's zoom out again. Now we can almost see the center of the galaxy. And the new bubble looks more like a drop of paint spilled on an expensive carpet. Zooming out again, the bubble is beginning to look minuscule compared to the larger structure of the galaxy. And zooming out even further, with full overview of the galaxy, the bubble is tiny. So small that I'm sure it would take me a bit to find it, if I didn't know where it was. It is truly like a drop in the ocean. Up here, barely visible, is Colonia. Let's zoom in so we can actually see it. It takes several levels of zooming in to see the smudge on the map that is Colonia. And from memory, it has almost 100 systems, but still barely visible at maximum zoom. There's an initiative to bridge all the way to Colonia, and they've colonized at least 100 systems on their way there, but they're still far off. The distances of the galaxy are huge, and the number of stars is mind-blowing. I think we're still well below 100,000 inhabited systems, but let's say that we will eventually get to 1 million inhabited systems. Even that larger number is still no more than 0.00025% of all stars in the galaxy. Let's take a look at how the galaxy would look if we really did colonize hundreds of thousands or even millions of systems. Another view is this, that shows the saturation of explored systems, with the red areas being where players have explored most systems, white and cyan where players have explored moderately to heavily, the light blue and deep blue where players have explored lightly or very lightly, and the black areas that have been barely explored compared to the number of systems in that area. This map is from more than 91 million systems explored, a number that I'm sure we will never reach when it comes to colonization. But still, let's look at this as it would look like if we colonized all over the galaxy. Sure, some areas, especially on the very edges of the galaxy arms, would have colonies all over the place, but most of the galaxy would have a very low ratio of colonized systems. Even the core of the galaxy, where players have explored and where we will certainly see many players colonize once there are daisy chained all the way there. So, will we eventually come to the point where we'll run into inhabited systems wherever we go and explore? Will colonization ruin exploration? I think that the galaxy will certainly be changed, and we will eventually have colonies all over the place. But there will still be plenty of systems to explore, plenty of empty space, open expanse for everyone. Another way to visualize what it could be like is to look at what ED Astro has logged of carriers around the galaxy. There are several groups of carriers stationed around the galaxy, like the Deep Space Support Array carriers and several others, as well as the swathes of commanders bringing their carriers along when exploring. That is a lot of carriers, especially within 4,000 to 5,000 light years from the Sol. It really looks like carriers all over the place. But then again, there are many quite large areas, sectors even, of empty space, with no carriers within hundreds of light years. My latest exploration trip was almost a year ago, around 4,000 light years south of the bubble, where there are just as many carriers as you can see on this map. And even doing economical routes for thousands of light years around the area, I never stumbled upon a single one of the carriers, even though I knew they'd be in the area. I had to look up the area on this very map to be able to find one of them. That is how I imagine it will become with colonized systems. And this will even be a long way, years into the future. We will stumble upon colonized systems when exploring, but we'll probably only find them if we are crossing a daisy chain in the right height, or if we are actively looking for them. So no, I'm not worried, and I don't think you should be either. Colonization will never do as much harm to the elite dangerous experience as some fear. If you want to have a look at these maps of the galaxy for yourself, go to edastro.com and click the Interactive Galaxy Map. In the top right-hand corner of the map, you can find the layers and overlays for the map. This is the galaxy layer, and I've checked the box for inhabited systems. You also have checkboxes for different groups of carriers and for several types of points of interest. Check it out. I can recommend this website. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You probably did, seeing as you stayed with me so far, so give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll see you in the next video. Fly safe, Commander.